Starting at my heaviest at £330 and having the same amount of knowledge of weight loss as Marcus Alonso does of the dangers of drinking and driving, I'm going to go over the 10 things I wish I knew when I first started losing weight. The first one we're going to need is a calorie deficit, eating less calories than what you burn on a daily basis. And the way to find out how many calories you do burn on a daily basis is by using any online calculator. Now, the one I've always used personally is called a TDEE calculator. And once you fill out your information on that, eat 500 calories less than that to have a £1 per week weight loss. If you up it to 1,000 calorie daily deficit, that will be a £2 a week weight loss, which I personally wouldn't recommend. It's healthier to keep it at £1 a week and keep it healthy and sustainable in the long run. Now we know how many calories we need to lose weight, how are we actually going to track these calories? You can use any app. The one that I use personally is called MyFitnessPal. And what you can do is you can scan the barcode of any food you're eating and you can log just how much of that food you're having. This is good and it shows you what an actual serving size actually is, and it shows you how many calories you actually are eating on a daily basis rather than just intuitively eating and just guessing. Which leads on to the second thing I want to cover is cutting out food groups. This isn't necessary if you want to lose weight. Stuff like carbohydrates and fat, they get treated like the paedophiles and rapists of the nutrition world. They're completely fine to eat along with sugar. I eat all of sugars, fats, carbohydrates, protein, everything. In my opinion, that leads to a well-balanced diet and a more sustainable diet. Number 3, don't do endless amounts of cardio. I fell into this trap when I first started losing weight. I used to do so many hours on the stationary bike. My ass felt like how a goat's ass must feel like after Grinch went to town on it. The best cardio for me personally is walking because it suits everyone's needs and you can do it just about anywhere. And if you were to burn an extra 200 calories per day just from walking alone, across a week, that'll be 1,400 calories. And across an entire year, that'll be 72,800 calories, which would equate to about 20 pounds of fat just by burning off an extra 200 calories per day just by walking. Number 4 would be to have a high protein and fiber diet. This is because protein and fiber help keep you more full for longer as it takes longer to digest. Also with protein, it helps build and retain any muscle mass, which increases your metabolism. Also with protein, it burns the most amount of calories during the digestive phase. Also with protein, it has a lower calories per gram. So in 1 gram of protein, there's only 4 calories compared to something like fats, for example, which has 9 calories per gram. So if you were to have 100 grams of protein, that would only equal to 400 calories, whereas fats, having 100 grams of that would equal to 900 calories. Number 5, you don't have a broken metabolism. It's just a defeatist mindset and it's really not the case. And I understand we have that one friend who can seem to they can have whatever they want and never put on an ounce of fat. And then yes, they might have a quicker metabolism than you, but they're only burning off from that metabolism an extra 300 calories per day. So let's say, for example, we take 2 people who are both eating 3,000 calories per day. One person's obese and the other person's normal weight with a quicker metabolism. But the reality is the person with the quicker metabolism is moving around more in their day-to-day life. So for example, where the obese person might drive to work, the normal person is walking to work, which is burning off extra calories. And let's say by the time the weekend rolls around, the overweight person has a takeaway, they don't really move around a lot on the weekend, versus the normal weight person who has a weekend activity and he's burning a lot more calories off by doing that. So while you might be eating the same amount of calories as one another, you're not living the exact same lifestyle as one another. So what you need to do is increase your daily expenditure and burn some of those extra calories off. And sure, would it be lovely to have a quicker metabolism? Yeah. Or I'd like to be 6'5" and have a full head of hair, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. So you just got to deal with your circumstances. Number 6, don't over restrict. Don't chase the instant gratification of trying to lose £15 a month. That's not healthy, that's not sustainable, and slow and steady does always win the race. And in fact, losing that amount of weight that quickly can have many negative side effects onto your body, such as losing muscle, for example, which will impact your metabolism. And also over restricting that amount could lead you to binge eating or having any other eating issues. And I think this whole over restricting mindset comes from the fact that we view dieting as a punishment and something we shouldn't be allowed to enjoy, which certainly isn't the case. You can still eat the food you like, you just got to find lower calorie alternatives to them foods. You can also have stuff like diet drinks, they're not going to kill you or anything like that. You can still find ways of finding dieting enjoying without over restricting. Number 7, lift weights. I have my own weight kit here at home, mainly just in case the Chinese people try and take on another bush tucker trial and get the whole world shut down. Lifting weights is very good for your metabolism because 1 pound of muscle burns 6 calories versus fat, which only burns 2. So if you start building up muscle, you'll burn extra calories just by existing. And this isn't to say that lifting weights will burn more calories than doing cardio. It's the opposite, in fact. Doing an hour worth of cardio, it will be a lot more beneficial to burning off calories versus an hour worth of weight training. But there are many positives to doing weight training along with cardio. A myth you might hear is that lifting lighter weights is when you're cutting down. But when you're bulking up, you want to lift heavy weights. That's not the case. You always want to be trying to improve your lifts over time by using something called progressive overload, which pretty much means increasing your weight or repetitions on any given exercise. So even if you just follow a 3-day per week program, one of those days could be a chest, triceps, and legs. Another day you could train your back, your biceps, and your shoulders. And for the final day, you could do a full body day. You don't have to go to the gym 6 or 7 times a week. And what you want to focus on during these sessions is something called compound movements, which is pretty much doing one exercise which targets multiple muscle groups at once. A good example of this would be an incline bench press, which targets your entire chest, emphasis on the upper chest. It also targets your front delts, the front of your shoulders, and also your triceps. So there's one movement there and you're cancelling off 3 things. Number 8 would be, just because you intermittent fast doesn't mean when that eating window is open, means you can eat whatever you want. This is a trap I fell into myself when I first started losing weight. I'd done a thing called OMAD, which is 1 meal a day. And during that period of time, I would just scoff my face with absolutely everything because I was starving throughout the day. But that's not how it works. It's still about calories in versus calories out. Number 9, learning how to weigh yourself. And I understand people would rather participate in the human centipede than weigh themselves. And I was also there at that stage too. But over time, weighing yourself consistently, I weigh myself 7 days a week and I take the median weight of that week, which pretty much means cancelling out the highs and the lows and taking that middle number. And as the weeks go on, that median weight drops lower and lower and lower. I still know I'm in a calorie deficit. So learning how to weigh myself has been massively beneficial to me losing the weight and keeping it off. Also with that, I'll discuss how to overcome weight loss plateaus when the scale just won't budge like a Just Stop Oil protester. What I do personally is I wait 2 weeks, and if there's been no movement in them 2 weeks for my median weight, I'll then deduct 100 or 150 calories of what I'm currently eating at that time. And doing that, I'll continue to weigh myself, and if I'm dropping off again, I know I'm back in a calorie deficit. Finally, number 10, patience. Knowing this is going to take bloody ages to do, which is completely fine and normal. I started losing weight when I was 19 at 330 pounds. Now all the way now to being 23, I now feel confident actually losing weight and keeping it off. So it takes a very long time to get good at this sort of stuff. So don't put unrealistic goals or expectations onto yourself, because if you don't match them, which you probably won't, you're just going to not want to diet anymore. They continue to put in on weight, which is going to keep you more unhappy. So be patient with yourself and just remain consistent and remain as consistent as much as possible.